Some call it just refugee crisis, but these humans, they came with boats, not like in Germany, just with a train, which led us to remove 119 boats out of the sea. You have like specific harbor trash, styrofoam, fishing nets, fishing hooks, plastic bottles you always find, but especially more plastic caps. And then you wonder, where are the bottles? Just put it in the next bin. Just do one piece at a time. Yeah, that's also my philosophy. Okay, you can't do everything, but you can start like with one beach at a time.
Welcome to Travel Devil. I'm your host Clara Francken, and in a world full of mass tourism, we're here to talk about unconventional travel. Let's get into it. Today we're talking about beach cleanups and how we can participate in these in our home countries or while traveling. Daniel is a coastal and marine cleanup expert and the founder of the NGO One Beach at a Time. Daniel Angelis, welcome to Travel Devil.
Hey Clara, finally we made it.
Yeah. Can you introduce yourself in your own words?
Okay, I'm 37. I study coastal and marine management. I'm a father of a daughter with the name Mare, like the sea. Author of now 4 books.
Okay, amazing. And to go into the subject of beach cleanups more later, first I want to get to know you a little bit better and your background. Did you grow up in an area where beach cleanups were very important, or did you travel a lot as a kid? How did this aspect influence you when you were still a child?
Well, basically both. I grew up on an island in Greece. It's called Lesbos, third biggest island of Greece. It's next to Turkey. I think the shortest distance is like 5 miles, sea miles, and I'm gonna come back later why this is important. Well, basically through all my childhood, I was traveling a lot. I don't have flight shame, but when I was 10, I already had like 100 flights all over the world. And in the 90s, which was like, then it was not as usual. Yeah, traveling a lot, you see a lot and you see the differences in cultures and how they interact with trash. Yeah, now I'm 37, so I've seen a lot of changes also on the island. I've seen small oil spill. I've seen fish stocks have gone down in the last 30 years. I've seen quite a lot of things that have changed. Urge me to try to do more for the planet than I can, let's say.
Yeah.
That's kind of the story of growing up on an island, seeing how also currents bring things or currents take things away, and wondering where will this stuff go, like plastic. When I was little, as I might say 3, my mother told me some days ago, when people would throw something away or let something fall, you would pick it up, run after them and say, hey, you lost something or you forgot something. And kind of, can you please throw it away where it belongs?
I think that's very, very saying of you. It's just bigger than yourself. You couldn't help yourself because you're a little child. It's not anybody saying like, oh, they should do that. But it's just like coming from your heart, I guess.
Yes.
I think for me, it's very relatable because people who were smoking, when I was a child, I was very, very anti-smoking. So when I would smell someone smoking, I would really be like putting up my hand and making a big deal out of it as a kid. But also specifically when people were throwing the cigarettes on the ground, I got really upset with it. And if I would try to tell them, like, hey, there's a bin over there, and being like loud about it, or even like in a certain period, I remember when I was a kid, I was a bit scared of telling them, and I would go after the cigarettes, pick it up myself, and then put it in the trash.
Yeah.
As a child, and children are doing this, and then adults are learning to accept that people throw trash on the ground.
Yeah, that's kind of it. And yeah, at some point also I know some child who also did this, but at some point you just stop because it's so overwhelming. And yeah, I can really relate with you, and I'm really happy that at one point we stopped smoking in airplanes, which was also really crazy. Like, just imagine flying somewhere for 12 hours and everybody was smoking. Now you have still the lights on, and like, this is a non-smoking flight. I'm like, okay. The effect of just cigarette butts, that like one butt can pollute or intoxicate like 500 to 1000 liters of water in just one butt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then people just stop somewhere with a car and they throw like out like hundreds of them together, and then they land in the rivers, and then
Yeah.
it's
Terrible.
crazy. Yeah, I can so relate to your story. Also, all this, and I've burned myself, and also, yeah, if I really see people still throwing them away, I almost scream at them, especially here in Greece, because everything is dry. And then if this cigarette butt lands in the grass, it's gonna make a fire. And we have so many fires here in Greece, and in general now you can also see in Brazil. But yeah, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
it's avoidable.
Yeah, it is avoidable.
Polluting and burning everything down. So
When you were a child, it already affected you a lot. Then you decided to do studies. You started your studies a couple of years ago. Now you're almost finished with your marine studies.
yes.
And last year, you also started your NGO. Was there a specific memorable experience from a beach cleanup that impacted you to really start this business?
Well, like I said, or like you all said, it came from the heart, and I really wanted to do something bigger than just be myself or just ask friends. I really want to make an impact. So one of the reasons why I started to study was that while I was here in Lesbos in 2015-16, we had this, I say, replacement of humans. Some call it just refugee crisis, but for me it was not a crisis. It was just people were forced to move, and that's also what I saw. I saw most of them. I helped a lot of people, and they came with boats, not like in Germany, just with a train. That was like the end phase. And all these boats, first in the beginning, it was like these floatable plastic dinghies, mini boats.
Yeah.
Everybody has seen, I guess, in the last years and the news. But later on, because these small dinghies, they are made for 10 people. They're 6 meters or sometimes 8. They put on like 40 to 80 people in this boat. So that means there are 80 people with life jackets, the boat, you have the engine, you have a deposit for gasoline, and this must end somewhere. And if you are the beach or the island, it ends on your island. So all these boats, we tried to do as much as we could, but if you help the people and so many people come, but also you have the boats, you just try to get the boats first off out of the sea so the sea can't take it. But later on, we had also wooden boats and metal boats and polyester boats. Like big ones were like 300 till 500 people could get on. And the shore of northern Lesbos, northern East Lesbos, is like more rocky and stony pebbles. So when they landed, they would either crash or they would get stuck, and then with the winter storms they would break apart, so that was all thrown into the sea. Two friends of me and we decided, okay, we want to do something with all these boats, so we started just to clean up. And we took our own small boat, we had ropes, we had one diver, he was 60 then, and was just diving all the day. and we were with the ropes upstairs, taking everything on the boat, take it to the beach, and had it cleaned up. Which led us to remove in maybe 4 or 5 months 119 boats out of the sea.
190.
119, 119.
Okay, still a lot. 119
still
boats
a lot.
is wow.
The accumulative of about 700 tons, so 700,000 kilos of marine litter taken out of the sea. Which was not only us two, or us three, it was also friends, people from the village, but also later a lot of volunteers from all the world. People came from America to bring like wetsuits to come to dive with us. Even 60-year-old people would stand on the boat like pulling up things. And the one special girl, she even rode from Belgium with her bike and came to Lesbos
Wow.
just to participate with us. So yeah, that's the crazy stories of then. Plus, we had 19 divers from Switzerland, and we could comp the beaches like 19 divers and us with the boat behind them and just taking all the stuff they would point out. And yeah, it was a crazy adventure.
Yeah, and are you also diving then, or were you on the boat? Because I wasn't even thinking about that when we were talking about beach cleanups. In my mind, I'm standing on the beach, but of course, it also goes in the water. So there's a need of divers who go to really clean the water and the oceans.
Well, 2015-16, we also did a lot of beach cleanups, but especially from end of March, the water went quieter and warmer, so we could be in the water. So we had this diver, and he's a free diver. He was special forces once. Yeah, he was always in the water, like free diving until 6 meters, putting the rope around the things. And sometimes it was like, we can't move it. And he was like, if I can move it, and if I can put the rope under it, you can move it. And sometimes, yes, somehow you could really just pull and it went somewhere. Yeah, for bigger operations, we had the municipality coming with like bulldozers, and then we had like steel ropes, and then we could take out like the big engine blocks of these giant boats and things like that.
Wow. And did you also go in the water?
I did, but just like to learn something, and not so much because most of the time I was responsible for the boat and the only guy who really knew how to ride the boat or how to manage the best interactions with the diver. So yeah, I was needed more on top. So, but last year I started also to dive deep and take things out by myself, and also with the help of him. And now he's 67 and he's still in the water like a dolphin.
Wow, okay. You started cleaning up then with the boat, and then this NGO we were talking about, your organization, started from that happening?
Yeah, then we called ourselves, because we were not an NGO and we didn't want to be an NGO because we saw so many scandals with NGOs in that time, also around here. So it had a bad taste to say this. So we just stayed like unofficially the locals of Molivos, which is like the place I'm from. And yeah, my idea in my mind was like, I really want to do something with this, but I felt like, okay, who am I to say something? Okay, I maybe cleaned so much and I did so many things. So you might say, okay, he is really an expert in doing like dive expeditions and boat cleanups. But I really wanted to have also a paper which says, okay, he also has a bachelor degree of this. So that's why I decided to, when I met my wife, also to leave with her to the Netherlands, and because she's from there, and to do this study also, and to come back to say, okay, I have the knowledge the practical knowledge, but I also have the diploma of it.
Yeah, of course. And now that you do have the more technical knowledge, could you share some information on how beach pollution is actually impacting marine ecosystems?
Well, yeah, you have like the different states of pollution. So plastic affects a lot of the environment. Every day we see new studies that we find microplastics in our body, like in the brain, in the uterus, even in newborn babies before, or in the embryos and in testicles of men. And yeah, it's everywhere. We are kind of plasticizing ourselves. The effects could be that the blood clots would start, or like our blood will get slower, or some of it just stays also in our body fat, and then you don't want plastic in your body. It can be contributed by our food, not only talking about the plastic wrapping of our food, but also the microplastic that the fish eat. We eat the fish also. And that's what I saw. I've seen fish like snacking on styrofoam, on microplastics. And there are also pictures of birds with plastic in their intestines. Now we see a lot of whales that have this. Especially mammals struggle a lot. Dolphins and turtles that get stuck and within. From my cleanups, ghost nets, which are also plastic and will stay forever in the sea until they break down. I found so many nets in my cleanups that there were fish, snails in them, like really beautiful snails, yeah, mussels and everything. So I just removed it and always put them back in the water.
And those nets, are they meant for fishing?
It's for fishing. So yeah, we have and the Turkish fishing and the Greek fishing here. The nets get stuck on the ground. It can happen in so many ways that these nets are abandoned. Yeah, this just continue to fish because they are in the water, but yeah, we don't take it out, but they do their job pretty good. Let's say it like this.
Yeah. So you're finding a lot of nets in the water and at your cleanups. Are there other items that you find a lot when you're doing beach cleanups? What are the most common items you're finding during your beach cleanups?
Depends on where you are. So let's say, because yeah, I've been now to many places. Also in the winter, I was in the Caribbean and I did like a similar thing there for 3 weeks. And you can see, okay, if you're close to a harbor, you have like specific harbor trash. So mostly it's like more styrofoam because fish once were in wooden frames and ice, and now they're in styrofoam and ice. But yeah, this is so light that it flies away sometimes from the boat. So you can see with the streams that this is close to the harbors. You have more styrofoam, so you have a peak of styrofoam. Plastic bottles you always find, but especially more plastic caps. And then you wonder, where are the bottles? And yeah, okay, the caps are lighter and the bottles can take water. So now we have the new solution with our new caps that are attached to it. But yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you your opinion on that because I remember actually like a week ago or something, I was talking to people and they were like, yeah, I really don't get it. Why is this cap of the bottle stuck to the bottle? It's so annoying when I'm drinking. Like it's always stuck to my nose. And I mean, it doesn't make sense. And I was like, yeah, but I think it's because of pollution. Of course, the answer would be not to drink water from plastic bottles.
Yes.
But I guess it's already better to have it stuck to each other instead of being two separate items which can be thrown away and become trash somewhere. Or what is your opinion on that?
Before that, you would buy a plastic bottle and you had 4 plastics on them. So you have the bottle part, you have the most of the time you have also the sticker on it, which is also plastic, and then you had the ring and you had the lid. So the ring and the lid were 2 different plastics, but now the ring and the lid, they are one plastic because they're now really together. And basically you can recycle it better if we would recycle it more effective. But if you see the statistic of 7 to 9% of all the plastics are getting recycled, it's still...
Recyclable doesn't mean that it gets recycled.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of styrofoam around the harbors. There's a lot of plastic bottles everywhere. Are there other things you're finding quite common?
Yeah, of course, nets and fishing stuff like buoys, then everything, what you can imagine. Yesterday I even found, that was really a funny one. I found, what's it called? For the nipples of women.
Ah, a nipple patch.
Yeah, nipple pad.
Oh my God, you found a nipple patch. Okay. 1 or 2?
Only one.
Ah.
And then shoes, so many shoes in every different category, and seldom you find a pair. One time I even found a pair, but it was like I found one shoe on one beach, and 4 kilometers further I found the other shoe. And I was like, I have a pair. So many toiletry items also, and yeah, so many toothbrushes and razors and like the single-use things. Food packaging, a lot of food packaging, also a lot of aluminum cans, where I always wonder how are they floating, but still maybe they didn't add too much water in them. And then, yeah, on the example of Lesbos, on the northeastern part, you have a lot of trash which comes from Turkey. I found a lot of stuff, also like with addresses on them. And one time I even found a shoe from a hotel, these white shoes you get sometimes, this
Yeah, these typical slippers.
and it was from a hotel which was like down in Turkey, like Antalya or something. There was a hotel there, because I really searched for it. I was like, what is it doing here and where is it from? And it was really from there. And there's a really nice app at Ocean Cleanup where you can put on your address, and then it can calculate how far trash that lands in the water can go into the ocean.
Oh, can you please share that link with me afterwards? I can put it in the show notes. Maybe it's interesting for people.
Yeah, it's really nice to play around. So what I saw when I put it on Lesbos, it really went down along Turkey. It went to Egypt. It went via Cyprus back, and it almost came back again to the same island. So it was like traveling like, I don't know, 30 to 30,000. It depended on which side of the island you would put it and which streams it could take.
Kilometers, yeah.
Crazy. But what I also saw, like in 2015-16, was like a lot of refugees. They would take the water we gave them, they would drink it, and there was like a bin next to it where we gave it, but they would throw it into the nature. And I was like wondering, why are they so ignorant, or what is this? And I went to Egypt in the same year, in 2015, and there I was really shocked because everybody was doing this. It was really like, and on the one hand, I get it because it's our nature to take like a fruit, to eat it, and to throw away the bits or the rest of the fruit. So we hope that new trees grow. But I think we, as society, we miss this switch to see, oh, this will not grow as a tree, but it will grow in the tree. Yeah, we missed this switch. And when I was in Egypt, I was like, okay, how do I get to the pyramids? And people were, you really have to have a guide, otherwise you will get lost in the desert. But going to the desert, I just had to follow the road of plastic and glass bottles to find the pyramids, which was really crazy. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow. Yeah, I want to ask you later what you think the solutions can be for that. But first, I want to ask you what happens with all this trash? what happens with all this trash? So you're on the beach, you're finding all of this trash, you're with your team, you're in the water. All of this must go somewhere. Where is the trash going when you're finding it?
Well, that depends. Like when we take it out of the water, the first thing we always do, because we had like some surprises, was to turn it in all sides, so we see if there's like fish trapped in there or anything, because some fish love it as a hiding place or a home. And then we remove the fish or the animals into the water. But then it depends, like, is it wood, is it metal, is it plastic? And so it's like a small sorting before we pile it. Yeah, if we find plastic, I try to put it in the recycling bins that are there, but also some plastics are so weathered that it's better just to throw it in the normal trash, because then it will be burnt, which is not good. But hearing from somebody who has his own firm in the Caribbean with trash, he has worked in the Netherlands and in Belgium and in Germany in different trash companies. I now know that a lot of companies, because there are so many systems, right? You have like the cities where you just throw everything together, but you also have the cities like in Germany where you say, okay, you have plastic, the glass, the metals. But he told me that they take apart the glass and the metals, so they melt the metals. But with the plastic, if you either you have them all together in one and you burn it, or when people recycle it, you sometimes just take like the amount you need to burn with the trash. So it's crazy. It's like, okay, so they don't really recycle it. Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed when I heard that, like when he told me like from 4 different countries how they act on it.
To take one example of, for example, the story you were sharing about Lesbos, all of the ships and all of that, where did you bring, like, you gathered all of this trash? What was the next step? You brought it to the city? You brought it, like, where did you bring it? Where does it end for you when you're the cleaner?
For us, it ended like on the shoreline, but as far away from the waves that we knew that could come. So sometimes that means, yeah, we really had to go or at the next street, like for the metals and the old wood and the polyester parts. But a lot of metal we gave also to friends we knew that are doing some things with metal, or we tried to do as much as we could, like to give things a second life before it get destroyed. So you can see it all around this island here, that a lot of people have built like small houses with wood that is on the plastic boats, because it was like 1 meter by 1 meter or something. But let's say the engines, the Coast Guard of Greece, they said you are not allowed to use the engines. So suddenly you sit there with hundreds of engines and you're like, but what to do with it? So yeah, a lot of this got just molten. Also, all these swimming vests, we had one big pile where all the swimming vests of the whole island kind of went. And lots of people made photos of this and like, oh, look at this things. But that was bad advertisement also a bit. But this were with the help of the one friend of the two, he helped to organize that they would get recycled. We had, I think, 3 or 4 containers shipped somewhere. I don't know where exactly, but to a facility
Okay.
we had asked, and they said we can do that, because until that, it literally took almost 6 years to find somebody that could recycle it, like to ask all around the world, every facility, can you do it? And everybody would say no. Or then we had also the ban of plastics to go to China, which also was like, oh no, what? Yeah.
Yeah, wow. But then that means, because I want to go a little bit deeper into the do's and the don'ts of beach cleanups, and I'm thinking about myself or anyone listening who sees that their beaches where they're living are not as clean as they should, or they're traveling somewhere and they're like, oh, well, I've got a free afternoon. I can go to the beach, do some cleanups.
Yes.
Could you share with me some things that they should do to make the practice more effective?
Yes. So basically what I always do, it's like my standard procedure is like exactly where I sit, like a perimeter of my towel, something, or the perimeter of my hands next to my towel, I clean up anyways. So I always have a small bag with me, or sometimes you don't even need a bag because the bag is already there, and then you you just do the find it, fill it philosophy. So you find a bag and you just fill it. And yeah, that's crazy. I found so many feeding bags from all over the world. What I can really recommend is maybe to have a glove with you. You just need one glove because most of the times you hold the bag open to put the other things in, and have fun, because and it is satisfying, because sometimes you see really a beach which is like full of stuff and you think, oh, this is never gonna end, or this is not gonna happen, and then suddenly like 10 minutes later you're just done. Like I did this with a friend 2 days ago. We were at one place and there was like this cave and all the trash had gone into the cave, and he was like, oh my god, and how should we do this? And I was like, just do one piece at a time, just take one piece out and just put it in the bag. And we did, and it literally took us, with two people, it took us, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes just to clean up yeah, two of these bags.
Yeah, for people listening, you're holding up a pretty big bag, yeah.
So it's like 40 or 60 liters, I don't know. Yeah, that's also my philosophy. Okay, you can't do everything, but you can start like with one beach at a time. That's how it gets stuck in my head, that just do one beach at a time. Just do it piece by piece, day by day, and
Yeah. So that's a good tip. And then, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going out now to go to the beach. I've got my glove with me. I maybe have a bag to be sure, or maybe I use a bag that I find. I now put all of the stuff in one bag, or do I try to separate it? Do I put the bag in the next bin I find, or do I take it with me to put it down on another location? What are we doing with the trash?
yes. So even if you don't separate it and you just put it in the next bin, it's not on the it's not a danger to the sea anymore, because you took it away from there. There's no wind that can catch it, no waves to take it, like I said, like thousands of kilometers away. If you want to, you can still like separate like the big bottles out of it. So that's the thing. Like if you find glass, of course you're not gonna put the glass in and then later on try to get the plastic bottles on the bottom out of your bag, because then you're gonna cut yourself. In my case, most of the times I have a lot of bags with me. So sometimes you just see me with, especially last year, you might see me with 8 of these bags on my bag, and then just walking around searching for the trash. And sometimes I would already say, okay, this is only for bottles and this is like mixed and things. But sometimes, also if you're tired, if you're sometimes last year I was going to a beach and I really wanted to clean up the beach, and then you sometimes are forced to dig deep. Yeah, sometimes you're there for 8 hours or something, and then you're not capable to recycle anymore. So, but still, it's out of the system. 8% or 9 of the world's plastic is recycled. So I hope it will get more, and we're gonna get conscious and will do really something with it. But we also have to reduce the amount of plastic we use, because why buy a peeled orange in plastic when it already had a good protective layer?
Yeah, you're so right. There's many things that are not necessary. And when I go grocery shopping, I always try to avoid plastic bags. For a while, when I was shopping in the supermarkets, I would leave the plastic trash there and not bring it home, so that they have to face their own trash that they're producing, because I just couldn't buy this thing without the plastics. Maybe that's way they will also think about, okay, we're getting so much trash here in the supermarket, now I have to do something. Or yeah, that's just one thing we can do as well, of course, is lower our use of single-use things. You were saying before, wear gloves when you're cleaning up. Of course, we're not wearing a single-use glove, I guess. It's a normal glove, or is it a plastic glove like the ones you're using for doing the dishes?
Yeah, the garden gloves or the working gloves or something. At specific places, I took like a little bit more like leathery gloves, which were like more thicker, but that's like so I went to beaches where you normally, or to shores where you normally not could go, and then I also would climb with them. But there are also a lot of thorns. Greece is really wild. It has a lot of thorns, so you don't want to put your hand somewhere. And oh yeah, we have also centipedes and scorpions and all these things. So you don't want that risk. So a normal sandy beach, yeah, you can also take a grabber. I like also to have a grabber. I mostly have this one. It's like a barbecue thing. And I have this also, especially for cigarette butts, because I don't like the smell on my hands and the texture of cigarette butts.
So it's just a normal like a tongue you can use for on a barbecue, the same one.
Yeah, exactly. This is one made of wood, but there are also metal ones.
That's so good. We were talking about all of the do's. Now, can you explain, like, what are the don'ts? The don'ts are going into the bag without a glove. But are there other don'ts we need to think about when we want to do a beach cleanup?
Yes, so yeah, it depends where you are. Like if you're on a sandy beach, most of the things you can take, you just can take. Sometimes I would just turn it around and look if nobody's there, like surprise, like crabs or anything. Sometimes it's already a house for some insects. Yeah, last year I had like a big piece of styrofoam and it was an ant colony. So I was in a dubious, should I take it or should I not take it? So I kind of let half of it there and took the other half where I knew, okay, there were no eggs. And I hope that this year they're gone. Sometimes there are snails under plastic things because it's nice and humid. Then you just remove them. Close to harbors, or you could sometimes have also fishing hooks, which are kind of dangerous. I only had the encounter like 2 times, and I cleaned up 19 kilometers of beach last year. But yeah, if you remove things out of the water, it's sometimes there are really animals living in there, like in pipes or I don't know. And a lot of octopi, they now love to stay in glass bottles. So yeah, it's really like, okay, do I take his house or do I take him with his house? And maybe I have to wait and get him out there. A little bit of consideration. Okay, what can I do best? And then weather-wise, yeah, when it rains, I have like rainy clothes on me. But if I really see or hear that there's a possibility of thunderstorm, then from an almost bad experience, I would advise not to go to the beach because you are kind of the highest point, and it's too risky. Even if you love Mother Earth so much.
Mother Earth and the ocean and all of that can also be dangerous.
Yeah, like everything can be dangerous. I mean, you can also be lightning struck on a field, and there's a bigger possibility to have a lightning strike than to win the lottery. But yeah, last year I was cleaning up a beach, and it rained. It poured down, and I had a bad feeling, so I kind of left where I was cleaning. and there was a supermarket next to the beach. So I went there, and like 2 minutes or 3 minutes later, there was like this lightning strike, like 5 meters from where I was beach cleaning, and the whole supermarket, the whole glasses were like
Shaking.
and the guy from the supermarket was like, "Weren't you standing there?" I was like, "Almost." And he's like, "Whoa, good that you came." And I was like, "Yeah." 10 minutes in total after I left, there was a second lightning strike, like 10 meters next to the first point I was standing. And this guy was like, "Okay, you were really a lucky guy."
Yeah, I guess for that thing, like you gotta listen to your stomach feeling or your gut feeling to know what you should or shouldn't do. But is it maybe also important when you maybe are in an area you don't know so well? I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's important to not do it alone, or is it actually not really a worry to have?
Yeah, what I would do, I would either call a friend and say, "Okay, I'm going to this beach," or yeah, sometimes they would come, but yeah, everybody that I know has work, so just to tell them, "Okay, I'm there," and maybe later just call them, "Okay, I'm done, I'm gone," or yeah, because you don't always have like the best mobile signal, especially if it's rocky and things, and on an island. Especially next to Turkey, we have like this war of competition of the mobile providers from Turkey and Greece. And sometimes you get their signal, and sometimes they get ours. So yeah, it's good that somebody at least knows, but it's better to have company, because with company it's always nice, and you just have the interaction.
Yeah.
So maybe, Clara, you have seen in the internet in the last years also this let's say like Olympia 92 or something advertisement, or bottles, or some examples of plastic they have found, and they say, "Look how old this is, and how good it still looks." I got a theory also for that, because what I did, like I said, sometimes you have to dig things out, and then when you dig things out, you see that I really went until 1986 last year, like soda cups and Coca-Cola things, and they were like perfect condition,
Very well preserved.
very well preserved in the mud. So these things that people might have seen look new, I think they also got dug out by maybe the weather and then taken off, and then people find them and they're like, "Oh, look, it looks still new." But I find plastic bottles of last year's, or like they even say 2024, and they already start to crumbling down from only the sea and the sun. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's, I guess, how more microplastic is coming into the ocean as well, when the plastic we are using is thinner and less high of quality. I would want to shift the conversation a little bit to think more about how people should get involved into beach cleanups in general. And I wanted to ask you, what would you say to someone to convince them to get involved in beach cleanups?
Well, basically what you do now is like helping yourself and future generations to not deal with microplastics, because if you pick up now a plastic bottle that's still intact, it's not gonna break down into a million peoples later, pieces, peoples. So yeah, and like I said, like I cleaned up 2 days ago with a friend, and he also said it's so satisfying that you kind of do like nature Photoshop. He's like a photographer, and you said, yeah, you have like this picture of you of the dirty beach, and then you clean it up, and then it's edited. It's everything is away, and it just gives you this hype. I did that, and I gave Mother Earth something back, and just giving the trash also a chance to be recycled. Yeah, also it's kind of fitness, so you also do something, you are outside, and you don't have to beach cleanup. You also can do like plugging, which is like picking up trash while jogging, or let's do it even slower. It's pliking, so you do a hike or a small walk, stroll. Yeah, I read in the Netherlands if every single Dutch person would pick up one piece of trash for 1 week straight, and it's like 18 million people, the whole Netherlands will be clean.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
That's really crazy. Those are high numbers. So it would mean like 1 week, every person picks up one piece of trash, and the whole country is clean of trash on the streets and the seasides.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very low effort thing. People can just do it. It's very accessible. I think people, a lot of the time, they don't want to do it. They don't really face the direct danger of the trash, and so they don't see it as their problem.
Yes, and sometimes people just don't see the trash until you pick it up in front of them, and they're like, oh yeah, now I see it also. And it's like we kind of have this filter now that we try or that we ignore things. And what I also have is a friend, and he said if every dog owner would just pick up 2 or 3 pieces of trash every day while they stroll. So most of dog owners go like out 3 times a day, I guess. So every time you would not only put your poop bag, but also one additional piece of plastic, also the environment will be trash free very fast.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about dog owners because where I live in Belgium, I also have a dog, and when I go for a walk with him, it's just like where we're living now, there's not so much trash on the street, but in some areas, you just see like the dog is always trying to put the plastic and the things like in their mouth. So I feel like dog owners have even a bigger awareness of the trash on the ground, because I remember when my family moved to the place where they now live, that was one of the criteria to have a clean street, not only because it's nice for us, but also because for the dog it would be very annoying if every time you're going outside the dog is trying to put trash in their mouth. So I feel like a lot of dog owners have that awareness already. They just need to take action and do the next step then to also pick it up instead of being annoyed by it and trying to pull the dog away.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the only things I don't really collect. It's the dog poop bags. This, if I find them in nature, I just put them exactly in the middle of the road where I found it to say, look, I found it. Please take it with you. And one time it took me like 3 days in a row that somebody just would put it back on the same place, but then it was gone. And I was like, okay, finally, I won my battle. Yeah, but I mean, this is just stupid. I mean, okay, either you let your dog poop and it gets dissolved by nature, which was like the plan, or you put it in a bag and you throw it away, which is still kind of crazy because you put poop into a bag and then you kind of burn it again. But you already picked it up, you made the knot, and then you throw it away. I mean, why? And nature can't deal with it because it's plastic around. So yeah, the insects will not go there.
Some things are difficult to understand. Uh, that's that's the thing. All right, I wanted to end up our podcast episode on this note, but I actually also had one more question, which was a little bit outside of all of the things we're talking about, but maybe you have some knowledge about this because of your field. What is up with invisible trash? Because there's also nuclear waste in the oceans and other waste which we cannot see. Do you have any knowledge on that topic?
On nuclear trash, not really, but let's say the whole nuclear thing is really a crazy world, because I personally know somebody who worked there and he made a lot of money to not report things, small things, small scale. So we only hear from big things and never from small scale. So I guess that's why. So
Yeah.
it might seem safe on some points, except of, oh, we only had 2 big accidents until now. And yeah, exactly, until now. And it's kind of a clean energy, right? But still, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, where do they take the water from? Where do they pump the water to? Because if you take water, it must go somewhere again, right?
Yeah.
There's also this guy who swam around the whole Great Britain some years ago, and he said at one point the water. He said to his captain, like, the water smells really funny. And this guy was, yeah, we just swam by the nuclear plant here. So that says already a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a big topic. We don't have to get so much into the topic of nuclear waste. I don't personally see it as a clean energy form because of the nuclear waste, which has a big impact, even on a broader scale, on health, and even what happens with the waste, right? Even now when we're using it and we're putting the waste away, there's no way to really take it away. But I was wondering, are there other things in the water which are invisible but still waste?
Well, yeah, now you have all these discussions of PFAS or FAS.
The TFL things.
Yes, we have this a lot now in the waters. We have a lot of medicine rests. In the Netherlands, at some regions, we have overload on drug waste, like crystal meth and I don't know what. This all should not be in our systems, but yeah. We should treat our water as God, because the world consists of 70%, we consist of 70% of water. We should respect water, and we just disrespect it in any ways. We bottle it up.
There's also, I had this idea always in my mind, but I just heard there's also a theory of there are so many water bottles that people haven't drink, and the rests of it just are in nature, but they can't get into the whole water system. This amount goes up and up every day, and yeah, the water manufacturers are not water manufacturers, they're plastic manufacturers in the end fact. So they just sell us plastic water.
Yeah, I guess the plastic bottle thing is also difficult depending on where you're living, because I guess in Europe we're very lucky to be able to drink from the sink and all of that. I guess there's also many countries where that's not possible and they really have to rely on still plastic bottles. But that's where solutions like water filters can be placed instead of buying all of the time new plastic bottles. It's buying one time a good filter and then using that instead of having the constant everyday 5 bottles of water in your house.
And yeah, you can make desalination plants, but yeah, that's another term.
Yeah. Okay. So now at the end of every podcast episode, I do have 9 very quick questions I ask all of my guests. Those are quick questions which can be answered with one word or one sentence. And I wanted to know if you're ready for the quick fire round.
All right.
All right. Okay, let's go. How old are you now?
37.
How old were you the first time you traveled to another continent?
I think 4 or 5.
Okay. What's been the longest time you've been away from home?
Yeah, that's a really difficult question. Because I define many places as home. So I lived here in Greece for the first 9 years, but really it's my home. So basically the 15 years I lived in Germany was the longest period I've been away from home, I could say.
Okay. Would you rather see a lot of places or get to know one really well?
I think I would like to see more places. One pretty well is nice and it makes you focus on something, but this many places broadens everything in your mind. And I've really the feeling of having a really broad mind.
Okay. Would you rather save money on accommodation or pay for a good bed?
Getting older, right? Still save money, I guess.
Okay, so you would rather save money?
Yeah, I can sleep on concrete, so I don't mind.
Okay, what word would you teach a foreigner who wants to learn your mother tongue?
Yeah, in Greek it would be yasu, which is like hello, but it's such a big philosophy because yasu can also come from υγεία, which is health. So it's like have health or be healthy. So I really love that. So
Yasu.
can also say just yeah.
So I can say like ja
Yeah,
or yasu.
yeah, exactly.
What can't you travel without?
Bananas. If there's a place with no bananas, I'm struggling. And I really have to eat 1 to 5 bananas a day. So it's really a hard job. In the Caribbean, I was struggling because there was like a boat coming once a week, and I really had to get all the bananas for the whole week.
Oh wow, I didn't expect that answer.
If it's sunny, I could only survive with a shirt and a swim things and my flip flops.
Okay, what's your favorite travel song?
Yeah.
A song you like to listen to maybe when you're doing beach cleanups? What song is like keeping you motivated?
Well, last year I heard a lot of Ren. He's a musician from England, and he talks a lot of mental illness, but also greed and corporations and things. And I really like his music.
All right. Okay, now my last question of the day is, why do you travel?
Yeah, to discover the world. It's really, and yeah, to meet people. Yeah, it's just the best thing you can do with money, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for being a guest on the podcast. Now I do want to know, where can my listeners find you if they thought this conversation was interesting? Maybe they have questions for you, or they want to just follow you to see what you're up to. Where can they find you?
Yeah, the most I use now is Instagram, and then there's that's at Angelis.Daniels, and then I have my website one beach at a time .org.
Okay, I will link it in the show notes so people can click directly. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Clara, for having me. It was really nice.
This was Travel Devil, brought to you by me, your host, Clara Francken. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to continue the conversation or suggest any future guests, you can go to my Instagram @Clara Francken. Take care, and I will see you next Thursday.